Hello and welcome back. Today is all about the rootin' tootin', peacemaker shooting, Mesa. Arguably probably one of the best DPS frames in the game. Now, I've done a lot of soul searching on this frame and everyone seems to be doing similar builds, concentrating on range, strength and efficiency. But for me it's duration that actually tends to keep her alive, so I've come up with something different. So just quickly, going to go over my loadout. I'm only really using Prismagratica and Lex Prime. Not having a melee weapon equipped gives her a health bonus. Not by much, but it is enough to make a difference. What you just saw there was me wasting, really, 6 corrupted heavy gunners at level 140. Just going to give a small mob scenario. So we've got 1 corrupted heavy gunner, 2 corrupted Lancer Eximus and 2 corrupted Butchers with a corrupted crewman. Activate a few abilities and just see how quickly we burn through these 6 enemies. The answer is run quickly. But yeah. Onto our abilities. Ballistic Battery basically stores up damage and then it can be released upon deactivation and then the next shot. Shooting Gallery jams enemy weapons. It is pretty effective as a crowd control. Shatter Shield basically acts as a damage mitigation. Mine's at 95%. And Peacemaker is just brutal. There's no other way to describe it. Just to test basically how all of her abilities work, what we're going to do, we're going to go up against 1 heavy gunner, corrupted of course, level 140 of course, and we're not going to do a damn thing. And well, there you go. Pretty substantial that. Well, just death. A substantial death. This time we're going to activate Shatter Shield. Already taken quite a few shots, nothing much happens. Activate Shooting Gallery, you can see there the weapon jam. With this, using Ballistic Battery, you can see I'm hitting crits of about 17 to 60. Crits. That was a good few hundred. Again, more crits of 17 to 60. Not really doing much. Tested a few things round. You can't actually switch weapons because it doesn't hit, which is weird. I'm not sure if it's a bug, but still. Yeah. With this, you can see I'm hitting crits between 66 and 100. Releasing the one ability actually gave me a crit of over 7,000, so that's quite a large damage buff. And then of course, I'm getting crits of nearly 20,000 here with Peacemaker. And then adding in the fire rate of it does turn pretty much everything to mincemeat. Now, as I said earlier, most people tend to skip duration. So I've come up with 2 builds here. One has a bit more range and strength, but lower in efficiency. Duration on both builds is the same. Where the efficiency is lower, it does make my abilities cost a bit more, particularly Peacemaker is about nearly 6 energy per second. However, with my first config, it is a lot cheaper, it's just over 3, although you can see I have dropped both range and strength by quite a bit, so I do have greater efficiency where duration, like I said, stays the same. I'm also using the augment for muzzle flash, which does actually help out my teammates. Now with this build the damage multiplier is 2.1, with the previous build it is 2.91. however, like I said, lower energy per second and a bit lower ranged, though on a team basis you don't really tend to notice it because of where Shooting Gallery does reach out to your teammate. Just going to rush out 5 waves of a card, as a lot of people seem to think that Mesa is ineffective against the infested. This is not true. Her Shooting Gallery does still stun them, and Shatter Shield does work to an extent, as the infested do still have ranged attacks. main one for me really is that the ancients, although they still hit you with their pull or knockdown, with their stretchy arm, it does still do damage, taking into account the 95% damage mitigation. However, it will not knock you down, and it will not drag you towards them. The same is also said for when you are in her 4th ability. It will do damage, so if Shatter Shield is not on and you're playing at a high level, prepare to be downed in your 4th ability. However, if you do have Shatter Shield on, you will take a bit of damage, depending on level and how much damage they have, as well as how much damage mitigation you have on Shatter Shield. But you will not be dragged, as well as you will not be knocked down, which is very useful. And the only other thing I could really say on her is how she operates on everything but defense, which for me there's a bit of a trick to it, because I have found out where she is mainly a stationary frame. Her main gift is her 4th ability, and regardless of whether you are a 4 to win player or not, when you play as Mesa, you will be pressing 4 just purely for the damage output. It is insane. So, on to playing her in anything but a defense. You typically would have to remain quite mobile. This is survival, Eris Zabala, the Dark Sector. I am running Zenuric, and I normally find that Mesa is very hard to sustain until Zenuric is actually active. You need to be very energy conscious, only really activate any abilities when you are in a bit of a pinch. Sadly, I've got into a bit of a bad habit with her. I find she is absolutely best when she has her back to a wall, almost camping. It's best if you can find a room with like a few little camping spots. You just keep jumping between them. Wouldn't recommend just constantly remaining in her 4 and spamming it, because something will get a nice hit, or the damage will just stack up, or you may just not realise that Shatter Shield has run out, and in which case you still are a rather squishy frame. You kind of need to use, I would almost say, a military tactic with her. Here you can see just clearing out a pathway and straight in with Zenuric, and from here I shouldn't really have too much in the way of energy difficulties. Again, as you can probably see, I've got my nice back to a nice little corner, the same corner in fact, and well, as you just saw there with that rush, shooting gallery to effect, becomes a bit disorientated, despite the fact that he hasn't got a weapon to sit there and reload. Like I said earlier, not spending great amounts of time in Peacemaker, trying to make use of all of my abilities, all of my weapons, not trying to spend too much time static, especially against infested. Again, in another corner, reactivate all of my abilities, tend to really only try and use Peacemaker when all of my abilities have just been cast, because that is when it is most effective, because enemies that get too close are stunned by shooting gallery, as well as you do have the damage mitigation of Shatter Shield, because you are static and you still can take damage. A good thing about Peacemaker is you can cast it mid-air while sliding anywhere. You can do it mid-bullet jump. It does pretty much completely halt your momentum, although in slide you will notice that you will continue moving for a meter or two, which can be quite useful. As well as doing it mid-air, it can give you vantage points, as well as a bit of an edge because you can shoot down. Peacemaker is generally designed to aim for body shots. Although you can get headshots, it is few and far between. However, if you're above them shooting down, you will find that you get headshots a bit more often. again, repeating myself, found myself a nice another little corner, just going to hang here for a little bit. This is actually where I leveled my Mesa, in this exact corridor. I found it very useful. You can level her very effectively if you've just got to her or putting former on her. This is a great little area. You find a very narrow corridor such as this, you press 4 and you just hold down your left mouse button and you gain a large amount of affinity from killing things in Peacemaker as well as from Zavala itself, and you will generally find that you'll go up a level, which then will regenerate your energy pool, so you can basically constantly remain in Peacemaker from level 10 to level 30 to max her out. Well, so little tip there if you fancy getting Mesa and leveling her. Zavala on Eris, find yourself a narrow corridor, press 4 and just sit tight in a narrow corridor. Moira goes against everything I've said about her staying still, but in a very narrow corridor, nothing can get around you, nothing can get behind you, you are literally facing the entire way. Another thing to note with Mesa is her Peacemaker, the more you fire, and the more things you should kill, the reticule, as it were, narrows, focusing her attacks in a smaller area. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.